Okay. Uh, okay. How's it going, everyone? My name is Casper, and in this video, I am going to be reviewing Restoring Pride by Richard Taylor. And this is something like I want to make a bunch of videos responding to books or just like what I think about it and if it's good or bad or that kind of stuff. And So I've already responded to Restoring Pride quite a few times. On my main channel, I talk about Pride, and I have a really old video that's like, I don't know, is it 2 years old? I can't remember. It's 3 years old where I talk about this book already, so I feel like this review is a little bit pointless, but um, I feel like since I just finished this book about a month ago, I thought I'd just talk about it again. Um, what do I think about this book? I think this is a very good book. It's not philosophically dense, even though it is a philosophy book. Again, it was written by Richard Taylor, and Richard Taylor is a virtue ethicist. So he focuses on like being happy is about being a virtuous person, about doing good things, as opposed to utilitarians who think that happiness is something that you extract and move around, or you quantify and move around, or as like if you're a Kantian, it's the categorical imperatives, which is where you get your morality from. But with Richard Taylor, it's virtue, and one of these virtues is pride, right? Pride is a virtue. I think it's a virtue. He says it's a virtue. People who don't think it's a virtue confuse pride with arrogance and vanity, or they don't understand what pride actually is, which is why they think it's a sin or a vice. So, and Richard Taylor talks about this book. Actually, I should summarize this. So, oops, upside down. Oh yeah, I forgot to say this is my library. This is from a library from my university. So, because this book is out of print, it it was really hard to find this book. I got so lucky when I realized that my university library had it, because you can't even get it on Amazon, right? And I think it's because Richard Taylor is virtually unknown. I mean, he's not a very famous or I don't know important philosopher, so it's probably why this book isn't really in print. I mean, the only reason why I discovered this book was from watching Academy of Ideas. That's how I discovered this. So it was, and when I heard Academy of Ideas, it's a YouTube channel, by the way, a philosophy YouTube channel. When I heard them talk about this book, it sounded very objectivist in a way, very Randian. And I'm a big fan of Ayn Rand for obvious reasons, right? If you know me, I like Ayn Rand. And so he echoes, or he says a lot of things that Ayn Rand would say, or objectivists would agree with. And so it's a very good book in that respect, because it's very rare that you find something in philosophy that reflects the ideas of Ayn Rand, because most of philosophy is, I don't know, it's just not really, I don't know. So anyway, let's summarize the book a little bit. He breaks he breaks it down into three sections. First, he talks about what pride is and what it means to have pride, obviously, because this book is about pride. Especially because, why did he write a book about this, right? Because the title is called Restoring Pride, the lost virtue of our age. And boy, is it a lost virtue. I mean, it's June right now, right? And so there's Pride Month, but when people celebrate pride, they're not even really celebrating what it means to actually have pride in oneself. Um, it's not really about pride. It's more of like celebrating sexual orientation and celebrating your freedom as a gay person, which is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with celebrating. There's nothing wrong with, you know, like Gay Pride or Black History Month. There's nothing wrong with this stuff. The problem is that calling it pride is not right. Especially after you read this book, you'll quickly discover that yeah, pride today is totally lost because so on the left we have people who celebrate gay pride and they don't really understand what pride is, and then people on the right, as I said earlier, they confuse pride with arrogance and vanity. And so this book really helps to recapture what pride actually means, what pride actually represents, and how to properly practice it. So there's just a lot of good stuff on that. So that's the first part of the book. The second part of the book, he talks about manners, which was a little bit weird for me. The first time I read this book, I actually skipped that part. The second time I'm reading it, I've actually decided to read it. And I think the manners section is actually pretty good because, like, you'll notice people a lot of the time confuse pride with a kind of arrogance or air of superiority or this sense of like, I'm better than everyone, so I don't need to be respectful. I can be rude but he argues that actually people who have pride are have like a sense of decency about them. Like they're not proud and annoying and rude and in your face. They're actually quiet. They're respectful. They don't need to like there's a really good section in the book where he talks about like that person, or he hints at like this person who needs to talk about themselves all the time, or they constantly draw attention to like to how big their house is, or the people that they've met, the famous people they know, or they hog the conversation. And especially he criticizes dinner parties, which, man, what I love that because, like, have you noticed like so many parties and so many places of gatherings are just a bunch of fake people pretending to have virtue and pretending to be good and showing off how great they are when they're all empty and hollow inside, but they don't directly say it. They just pretend to 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 be amazed by the stuff that you didn't actually accomplish, or they pretend to be interested in the things that you're not even interested in them yourself. You're just saying them to make yourself feel better, right? It's all fake. And so he's basically arguing that like when you're socializing with people, when you're dealing with people, you're not supposed to like tell everyone all of your accomplishments. You're not supposed to get everyone to know. It's not about convincing people of your greatness, because ultimately pride is about really feeling good about yourself because you've actually done good things, that you're actually pursuing happiness, that you're actually pursuing great achievements. And when you succeed at those achievements, it's enough to just keep them to yourself. Um, so that's the main part with the second part, and then the last part he talks about happiness, which I mean it's good. I agree with it. Uh, I mean it's a good part. I mean overall, I think what he says in this book is really solid. It's just not truly like profound or groundbreaking. It's very much like, oh yeah, he's right. This is actually what pride is. Yeah, we forgot what pride is. This is actually what it means to be a proud person, like a truly proud person. Like it feels very much like he's reminding us or turning our attention, like, hey, we've gone off track. This is what it means. So it's not really, again, it's not really groundbreaking, but more kind of like, again, it's like, oh yeah, that's what that yeah, I agree with that. That makes sense. This is a solid, decent argument. Um, this is a solid book, and I find it to be very motivational. Like, if I need like a pick me up or a sense of like, I need my life to be good and I want to succeed in life and I want to be happy, I find this book to be very motivational. It's like listening to a life coach, but you don't get any of like that nonsense where the life coach is full of himself and he thinks he's so brilliant and intelligent. But this is actually a real philosopher, right? And again, this book is easy to read. It's not philosophically dense. It's not groundbreaking, which is why I feel like he's just reminding us. But because of that, this feels like a self-help book that is real. It's like a self-help book that you can trust. It's a self-help book that's not full of crap because this guy is educated. He knows what he's talking about. He's a professor at a university. Well, he was. He's not alive anymore. But like this is a truly educated person. He also says a lot of politically incorrect things, which is a breath of fresh air, honestly, because people today are so soft and they're so easily offended. But he just says things like he criticizes fat people who are just too overweight, and it's just actually a horrible thing. He criticizes Christians um, who, right, because Christians elevate the meek and the poor, right? The salt of the earth will inherit the earth. He criticizes that. He criticizes people who, I think he criticizes people who, I mean, he just criticizes people who are average, who are boring, who don't do any. He criticizes mediocrity, which is a great thing because I'm so tired, and I think, yeah, like you're not supposed to say that it's bad to be mediocre when it should be bad. Like you shouldn't. It shouldn't be accepted. We shouldn't accept that. Like, and again, it's not really that. Like, I don't know. It's just good because he criticizes things that should be criticized, even though it's politically incorrect to say that. Um, so, yeah, I mean, he has a lot of good stuff in here. Like, it just feels like a good book about making yourself be motivated to do something meaningful with your life and to be proud of it. I mean, I feel like that's the basic idea of the book, and it's a great, solid book for that. And there's not really much to criticize. I mean, it's hard to argue against this book because it's pretty solid and it's self-helpish. That's just very like motivational. So, um, yeah, I mean, he talks about how I'll try to give some specifics. He has one chapter on living for yourself, right, which is very Randian, because a lot of people seem to kind of they think that being good and doing good in life is about serving others and helping others and just being nice and donating, but actually real greatness and what it means to be truly proud is to actually do things that are amazing. Well, like to achieve great things, to do things no one else can do. Because anyone can be nice, right? Anyone can donate to a charity. Anyone can be uh, nice and friendly. But like to be a brilliant writer or to be a brilliant artist or to create a business empire, right? These kinds of things, not everyone can do that. And those are the people that should truly take pride in themselves, especially because he criticizes people who, again, people have no idea what pride is because people think pride is uh, like how he criticizes the people who are just like, well, at least I have my pride when they've lost everything, which is the complete opposite of what true pride actually means, right? People have pride because they do have their life together, not because their life isn't together, right? People who say, "Well, at least I have my pride," they're basically saying, "I actually have nothing, and I can't take pride in myself at all." So, yeah, people have completely missed that. Um, yeah. So it's a good book. It's pretty solid. I mean, there's not really much else to say. Um, uh, I'm trying to think of anything else. I don't think there's really anything else. But I think at the end of this video, I'll play one of my older videos where I just read a bunch of great quotes by him, because there's a lot of really good quotes in here that really make you feel like yeah, I want to live my life. I want to achieve great things. I want to feel good about my life. I want to be proud. I want to have pride. So I'll just here's the video where I start reading the quotes, and I'll see you later.
The reward of personal excellence is not fame, but pride. You are proud not because of the applause of others, or even the applause of the whole world, but because of what you genuinely are, provided, of course, that you are gifted in some significant way, and that you do something with that gift. Most people are, in the most ordinary sense, very limited. They pass their time day after day in idle passive pursuits, just looking at things, at games, the irony of me playing Mario Kart, at games, television, whatever, or they fill the hours talking, mostly about nothing of significance. Comings and goings of who is doing what, of the weather, of things forgotten almost as soon as they are mentioned. They have no aspirations for themselves beyond getting through another day, doing more or less what they did yesterday. They walk across the stage of life, leaving everything about as it was when they entered, achieving nothing, aspiring to nothing, having never a profound or even original thought, doing what those around are doing, getting through life with as little discomfort as possible, and finally leaving behind not so much as a durable memory of themselves. It is indeed almost as if they have never been. You have something that can be regarded as being, if not divine, at least something uniquely human and good. It resides in the power of your mind to think and act creatively. It is this that makes you a person in the first place. You are not a person just by virtue of having 2 arms and 2 legs and an upright stature, or whatever else distinguishes you biologically from other creatures. I'm going to stop the quote right there. He's basically saying to be an individual and to value your mind and not your physical presence. Doesn't matter what group you belong to, doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, black or white, gay or straight. All of those things are so meaningless and stupid, and they're just used to divide people. Find your true worth and your true gift that you have to bring to the world by being creative and being innovative, right? Use your mind, not your body, basically. It is this that makes you a person in the first place. There is no uniquely human worth in biological facts. Your worth as a person lies within you, and unless you treasure it and cultivate it, it dies, and with it, whatever worth you ever had. Your primary business in life should be to not let this happen. Whatever may be the solicitations of the world, the temptations of wealth or power or status or recognition or whatever, you will, if you have any sense of personal worth, scorn these in favor of the only thing that this sense of worth can rest upon. You should not, indeed, really cannot love yourself for your wealth or status or power, however much these things may impress others. I made a video like this in the past, but I removed it. But I remember after reading this part, I said Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump is a perfect example of someone who flaunts wealth and status, but has no character or real values to present to anyone. He might be a decent businessman, but I think he's mostly a crony capitalist and just an overall pretty pathetic person. I don't know why right-wingers like him, because he hurt the poor. Anyway, this isn't about Donald Trump. Moving on. But you can love yourself for what you are, provided that you are worth loving. It is your self-love that will be justified when you are proud. Let's see. I just have so many of these quotes. They're just so great. To live for yourself is to devote your strength, energy, and thought to what is good in yourself and to make it better. It is a quest for personal excellence and nobility. Nobility is that which sets you apart from everyone else in a creative and innovative way. All right, I'll leave with this one final quote, which is pretty long, but it's definitely worth reading. You can set for yourself a goal that goes beyond all of this, something which, but for you, would never come into being at all, and then you can achieve it. If you are greatly gifted and lucky, it might be something that will be long remembered, something that might even become an object of awe that will inspire wonder in future generations, and amazement that any mortal person could execute such a creation. And if you are greatly gifted and not so lucky, then what you bring about will perhaps be something no less grand, even though less noticed. A poem or book perhaps, whose merit is seen by few besides you. And if you lack this kind of genius, as of course most people do, then there nevertheless is something that you can become obsessed with, something that you can incomparably do well. Something that will absorb your energies and your creative thought and give worth to you as a person. And the imperative is simply to find it and do it. The alternative is to be, in ever significant sense, an animal. Thus, you can join the ranks of the proud, or you can, at the end of your long life, look back at a great stretch of nothingness, at a succession of pleasures gained, perhaps some pains and misfortunes avoided, of days and years spent to no real purpose. And if that should turn out to have been your lot, then all that can be said is that you had your chance and you blew it. If shame is the opposite of pride, then you can surely say that shame is the appropriate response to a life thus squandered.